We just saw vintage Sandy Alcantara again, and it was a joy to watch.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I'm a diehard Marlins fan, and I've podcasted about the team for the last 4 seasons. You can hit me up on X at Jeremiah Geiger too, and thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. And joining me on today's show is a very special guest, Alex, also known on X as Forever Marlins. Great account over there. Alex, welcome into the show.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm happy to be here.
And we are absolutely ecstatic to talk about what just transpired. Sandy Alcantara, a vintage Sandy Alcantara start. It looked like I was back in 2022 watching this game. We're also going to talk about the outlook on the rest of the season. 35 games left, Alex. We're heading down the final stretch in the regular season. Of course, there's postseason baseball to be played, and we'll finally take a look at the minor leagues and the farm system specifically, some good storylines that all Marlins fans should follow along. But let's start with the Sandy start, man, because I'll tell you what, after the 7th inning, he struck out Ivan Herrera, and he struck out the side in the 7th, finished the game with 114 pitches. He screamed leaving off the mound. I jumped off my couch and I was just like, let's freaking go. I mean, it was incredible. Just a joy to watch.
Yeah, I just couldn't agree with you enough, honestly. And you and I talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but I mean, talk about a top 3, top 5 moment of this season. I would put that on par with the Kyle Stowers Grand Slam. I would put that on par with, I was stoked to see Dane Myers make a comeback the other day. That one made me really happy, but no, nothing compared to this, honestly. It's seeing Sandy back in vintage Sandy form, not just today, but also in the previous game, starting to feel like we're building that momentum back. That lit me up, man. That lit me up.
Second really solid start, and I would argue this one was his best of the season. His final line, seven innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 was earned. You had 1 walk and 9 strikeouts, which was a season high. He also hit 114 pitches, and I think it's important to note that with his 110th pitch of the game, he hit 100 miles an hour. Early on in the first inning, he hit 100 miles an hour on the sinker twice, and he started to get in a rhythm, and you could tell, hey, this is shaping up to be a really good night for Sandy. And then you have Clayton McCullough showing him, confidence by letting him go out there for the 7th in a high pitch count and just saying, do your thing, be the ace that you are. I know this season hasn't been the best in terms of stats and production. It's been frustrating, but that right there, that was Cy Young Sandy. And we're going to talk about what this means for the rest of the season. But just in the present day, as Marlins fans, the last couple of weeks, it's been difficult. It's been really hard to watch this team every night, and it's been frustrating. But that right there, top 5, top 3 moment, it can't get much better than that, seeing El Caballo make his return in dominant fashion and the way he did it. Again, striking out the side in the 7th. I think he walked somebody with 1 out, and there was a thought in the back of my mind, well, is Clayton going to come pull him? And Clayton just sat right there in the dugout and said, go do your thing, and Sandy locks it down. It was awesome.
And you mentioned this briefly, but the one big one for me was the on the line was 1 walk. Yep. 1 walk is huge because almost every single time that we've seen Sandy get blown up this season, it's a leadoff walk gets you into it, or a 1-out walk gets you into it. And then all of a sudden it just starts unraveling. And I had the same thought as you when that 1 walk got off. I'm like, Clayton's coming on, he's pulling him, it's done. But he bounced back so well from that, and it was almost as if that walk never happened. And frankly, I'll say this much: a lot of the damage that was done to Sandy tonight was from defensive errors. It was from pass balls, that 6-3 throw from third baseman Javier Sanoja that went over Liam Hicks's head. The things like that happened that I think kind of got in the way of Sandy's success a little bit, but you couldn't tell the difference on his face at the end, man. He finished off that seventh inning, he struck out the side, and it was as if nothing had happened.
And going back to what you were saying about the errors that were outside of his control, that's important for a pitcher to just mentally focus. You had a strikeout in which you blow 99 by the hitter, and Augustine just whiffs on the pitch, and the runner gets to first base. Even the broadcast was saying, Sandy had to throw 15 extra pitches in this one, but he didn't let it phase him, and that's what you want out of your top guys. We look at Miami and the Marlins as somewhat of a pitching factory, and it's true. They're developing, talent all across the levels. We got Robbie Snelling, Thomas White coming up, but it's Sandy Alcantara who's been that one mainstay for years, ever since he came over from St. Louis. And there's been bright spots with Edward Cabrera emerging as a frontline starter, Yuri Perez, and with all the struggles of Sandy Alcantara, he never gave up on himself, and he just continued to do his own routine, and because he knew it would come. This start would come. He had the confidence in himself. And, I mean, a good team win. It was good to score some runs. The final score of this game was 6-2. They had plenty of opportunities to leave. They left some meat on the bone. They left the bases loaded a couple of times, which was frustrating. And it felt like, it was going to open the door for the Cardinals to come back in and maybe steal a victory, but not with Sandy on the mound. I do want to talk about Max Acosta real quick. He hit his first major league home run. It also happened to be his first hit in the majors. Really good to see from him. Another prospect coming up. Like, anytime you get your first hit and it's a homer, that's a special moment for him and his family.
I will say I was extremely stoked to see Max Acosta perform tonight, because I've had the thought over the past couple of games, as I think most of us have, and even after those first two at-bats, where I was thinking to myself, man, I just don't know that Max Acosta is ready for the show yet. And I'm still not 100% convinced that he is there yet, but that homer is a really good sign in the right direction. I mean, and it's got to, nobody felt better in that moment than Max Acosta. I mean, imagine the relief that you feel. Those guys are coming up from AAA all the time, and especially you've seen it this season several times. They come up, they get a cup of coffee in the league, and then they're sent back down. And when you're not performing the way that he hasn't been performing, I mean, you're just a couple of games away from that at any point in time, unless you're Eric Wagaman. So, that is, I'm sure that was in the back of his mind a little bit. And I'm imagining that he's feeling a lot better about where he's standing with the team now. And I've got to imagine that confidence is going to translate to performance.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because I was looking at the lineup before the game even started. It almost felt like a AAA lineup just because of the youth and the inexperience of this team. I mean, I'm looking at the box score here. We have Xavier Edwards as being kind of the most experienced Marlins player at the major league level. That's tough to deal with. So the Marlins right now, we're going to talk about this next. They're throwing these young guys in the fire, and they're saying, go out. Here's your opportunity. I talk about opportunity a lot on this show. What are you going to do with it? And for Acosta hitting that homer, hopefully it translates to more success down the road. So coming up next, 35 games left on the season. What is the outlook for the Marlins? I know they're sitting at 7 games under 500. The playoffs are unlikely, but there's still plenty to watch for and rooting interests the rest of the way. That's coming up right after this. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts and minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. One of the best things about Monarch Money, guys, is those subscriptions that you forget about. Monarch Money will be on top of that. You're not going to be bleeding money. They'll go ahead, cancel it. You're not going to let that financial opportunity slip through the cracks because they notice it. So use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. I'm back here with Alex, Forever Marlins, over on X, and I just want to thank everybody who makes listening to the show a part of their daily routine. I can't do this without you guys. 35 games left. Feels like this season's just flown by. It feels like I was just watching Grapefruit League games, and now we're sitting here about to hit September. And the first thing I want to mention when it comes to the rest of the season is going back to the first segment. How does Sandy Alcantara finish? Does he finish the year on a high note? Because if he continues to pitch like we saw him against the Cardinals, then there's going to be a ton of hype reemerging onto his shoulders, and his name being mentioned in trade rumors about being one of the better starters in the National League again. He's probably got 4 or 5 starts left, but that's the number one storyline is this a mirage? Because we saw it before. Can he be consistent with it the rest of the way?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I had the same thought, but I would say that what we've seen in terms of his control, what we've seen in terms of his pitch sequencing, and what we've seen in terms of even tonight, his curveball was working much better than it has previously. We're seeing something different than what we've seen from those flashes in the pan that we've seen throughout the season, because there's always been hints of Sandy's stuff being back to where it should be, but we've never seen Sandy's confidence being back to where it should be. And I believe that what we have seen over these past 2 games is him really finding his groove again. And with that groove should come that confidence. And for the first time this season, I think that Sandy actually has a reason to, we have reason to believe that Sandy could continue at the pace that he's currently at. And for the rest of the season, I mean, hell, if we can get 4 or 5 more starts out of him that even look, they don't even have to be as baller as tonight was, but if we can get something that looks like this, it's going to inspire a lot more confidence for what's happening moving forward.
Yeah, and you mentioned that curveball, and it's been a subject of a lot of discussion and discourse because, during his Cy Young season, it wasn't a pitch that he threw at all, and he's incorporated it into his arsenal this year. Tonight, even, he still threw it. I'm looking at the numbers here. 19% of the time, threw it 22 times out of the 114. It was working tonight. Can he continue improving it with pitching coach Daniel Moscas and feel comfortable about it? Because there's been some times where it's just getting mashed and guys are sitting on the curve and it's really not doing too much. But I mean, I'm excited for his next start. And really, after when that Boston start happened up against a really good Red Sox lineup, it was like, okay, like Sandy's got something here. And then what we saw against the Cardinals, the momentum's on his side. Now it's just about performance and keeping the rhythm. Like, don't break out of this rhythm. If it's working for you, keep doing what you're doing. And sometimes it's as simple as that. The other part of this season that I'm really going to be watching for the next, month and a half or so, I talked about how this lineup was really young. And it is. Like, the Marlins have prospects that they've called up this season that are now everyday players. Augustin Ramirez, Jakob Marsee. You have Max Acosta, who just got called up a few days ago. How do they finish the year? More so, Jakob Marsee and Augustin Ramirez, it's been a long season. They've been playing in the minors their whole career, and usually about this time, you're settling down. But now you still have a whole month of September. I'm interested to see how Marsee finishes the season because I got to tell you, the metrics, everything under the hood points to him being a star. The eye test tells me Jakob Marsee is going to be a star and somebody that was kind of buried on the prospect list. Nobody expected this, but he's truly been the best hitter in baseball since August 1st. How Jakob Marsee finishes the season is a huge storyline.
I have to agree with you about this. I think that Marsee madness is hype to be believed. You said I couldn't say better than myself. The eye test works. The stuff under the hood works. His metrics are on fire. I mean, I've been checking fan graphs like every other day at this point in time and just like changing my filters to like minimum 50 plate appearances, minimum 60,
Right.
minimum 70. And he's not moving down. His WOBA, his XWOBA, his WRC plus. I mean, all these like nerdy advanced stats that you could find, his barrel percentages, he's nailing all of this. And all of that points to a really solid future for him. But barring injury, God forbid, I don't understand how he could go much further down from where he is right now, because he's doing everything right. And the biggest thing for me is the plate discipline.
Yeah.
His plate discipline is unmatched. I have never seen a rookie that is able to come out and done what he's done so quickly. Most of them are coming out nervous, swinging on everything. He won't swing on anything. And if you're not swinging on bad pitches, you're not going to get caught with bad Z contact. You're not going to get caught with bad O contact. He is going to continue doing what he's doing because it doesn't seem like he knows another way to do it.
I couldn't have said it better with the plate discipline. Even just going back to the first 3 games he played, starting in that Yankees series, there was this at bat. He worked the count full and he took a pitch, maybe half a ball outside of the strike zone. Any other hitter would be trying to foul that off or to stay alive, especially when you're making your debut. The crowd is loud. You're playing the New York Yankees, for goodness sake. Marsee just takes his walk, and that's what he does. Like, he's not going to give away an at-bat ever. And sometimes you'll see him get called out on strikes on borderline pitches. That could go either way. And I've said this on the show. I say, when Marsee gets called out on a borderline pitch or the umpire calls a strike, I'm going to side with Jakob Marsee because that guy knows the zone better than half the umpires in the major leagues right now. It's uncanny what he's doing.
I literally almost tweeted that earlier today. I was just like, I have him call his own strikes and balls because he knows better.
And what's also crazy is the exit velocity. His average EV's 92.5 miles an hour. He's hitting everything hard. That's not a fluke now. We're approaching a total month of a sample size, the last 20 games or so. When you hit the ball hard and you find a way to put the barrel on the ball, good things are going to happen. Yes, will the average normalize itself? Sure, it happens with everybody. But when you have a good walk rate, you hit the ball hard, you're going to get those extra base hits. You're going to get those homers. And then you pair that with the speed. I mean, he stole third base today. Like, that's a player that I don't think it's hyperbole to say will be the center fielder in 2026 every day and potentially compete for an all-star appearance next season. He's that good, guys.
I mean, he's a 5-tool player. I mean, by definition, he's a 5-tool player. He really can do it all. I mean, and his at-bats are so good. His base running is so good. It's almost easy to forget how good his defense is. I mean, have you seen him make a bad defensive play yet? No. I don't think I have. You know what I mean? And at this point in time, you mentioned it too, the walks too. I mean, his walks are unbelievable. He was leading walks for like players 40 plate appearances and up for a hot minute. And I think he's like down to 4th place now or something, but whatever. The point is, though, that the walk percentage is one of the most stable stats that keeps consistent across players' careers, because that's something that's built into their style of play. And if he can keep on doing that, I mean, he's going to be on base almost every at-bat forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's legitimately, like Alex and I are telling all the listeners, all the watchers right now, this kid is a star. Marsee he's really, really good. What other players or storylines are you going to be looking for specifically as we, wrap up the season, as we're heading into September?
There's a couple on the 40-man right now that I'm concerned about. Troy Johnston is definitely on the top of my list of players that I'm concerned about. Now, granted, he is starting to trend in the right direction. His at-bats are starting to look better. He's starting to swing on pitches that make sense more often, and he's starting to make contact in a way that is productive. So we keep things going in that direction, we won't have any issues. But it took us a little while to get there, which is an adjustment for most players that come up from the minors. But Troy is one of those prospects that was around for so long and was so effective in AAA that we all, I think, just kind of had this expectation that he was going to come up and do what Jakob Marsee is doing to an extent. So I'm really hoping to see them continue to give him chances in the show and watch him progress throughout the rest of this year. So that hopefully by the time spring training rolls around next year, he's a shoo-in. I believe in Troy Johnson. I really want to see him continue to be successful. Agustin Ramirez is one that I think about a lot. And I think we all know why. It's not because the guy can't hit a ball. I would say that he could work on, which pitches to chase a little bit better, but his defense is such an issue at this point in time that it's really hard to imagine what you do with the guy. And I'll say this much. I think that there's a lot of people like on Marlins Twitter who are very eager to say, like, get him out from behind the plate, get him out from behind the plate. I understand where that inclination comes from, but I would counter that by saying this season is more or less, whether or not you want to admit it, kind of foregone at this point in time for the Marlins. It doesn't really seem like in the 35 games that we have coming up to the end of the season that we're making a playoff run of any kind. So this is a really great opportunity for us to figure out how to work some of these guys in. And if he's too young to just stick him as an everyday DH, we have to be able to explore his talents a little bit. And anybody who wants to say stick him at first base, it's not that easy. And so if we want to explore those opportunities to see, is he a viable catcher in any capacity, or is he really just going to be a Rafael Devers level DH for the rest of his life? Well, now's the time to find out, because if we're serious about taking on 2026 or 2027, we don't want to be throwing him behind the plate without having made that assessment properly. So those are the two that really stand out in my mind at the moment.
I just don't see how you can continue running Agustin, every day behind the plate and expect different results. I understand first base is difficult to learn. I mean, it's a baseball position. It's not easy, especially at the major league level. But I think they have to start incrementally giving him a first baseman and seeing what he has, because he is a clear liability. And as we're going to talk about in the next segment, the Marlins don't really have any true first base prospects coming up anytime soon. So for Agustin, I don't expect the organization to do anything different. I still think they're going to give him these reps, like Alex is saying, behind the plate, allow him to just sink or swim. And right now he's sinking, unfortunately. But if it was me, I would be starting to, trend him in the direction of playing first, not necessarily an everyday DH, but first base, because you still have more value there than if you're just designated hitter. But the minor leagues, Forever Marlins, you do a lot of work covering the minors, daily work. It's great for everybody out there who's listening. You got to follow his work. But there's still some really good prospects that the Marlins have, and I want to talk about them with another guy who's in tune and who's an expert on this. And we're going to talk about these prospects and what they can bring to the table for the Marlins in the future right after this. It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. It's perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the golf course or you just need that little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Now, I'm not much of a golfer. I got to go out one of these days and try it. I live around a bunch of golf courses, but this isn't, what I would use 5-Hour Energy for. I just like the energy. But for those who love golfing, you should go out with some friends, grab the grape, ginger, lime flavor of that transfusion, and you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. But remember that Locked On Marlins is on all the major podcast platforms. You can listen to the show wherever you are. The minor leagues, if you are a Marlins fan and if you're discouraged about how the season has gone, around the trade deadline, you had hope of a playoff run, and now we're sitting here 7 games under 500. You might think there's not a lot to watch for at the major league level or the Marlins organization in general. And I'm here to tell you that there is. And it starts with the farm. because the Marlins have a couple of studs that we have to talk about. First up is the pitchers, Thomas White and Robbie Snelling. I think Thomas White is the best left-handed prospect in baseball, if not the best pitching prospect in baseball. He's that good. Robbie Snelling is knocking on the door of the major leagues. Could get called up. It's probably going to be Ryan Gusto. They're going to take it slow with Snelling, even though I want to see Snelling up here. But let's start with Thomas White. How good is this guy? Because to me, that's an ace right there.
Thomas White is the future of Marlins pitching. And that's going to materialize in a very real way in the next couple seasons, late next season, maybe early the following season. He's still a little bit far away. But if he continues with the consistency that he's showing with his stuff right now, there's really no reason why he shouldn't be playing in AAA come spring training next year. Hell, they might Liam Hicks him and just skip him right over. I don't think so, probably. But he is legitimately just that good. I mean, I can't even tell you how many videos I've seen passing through my feed over the past few weeks of just like another 6 Ks in a row for Thomas White, another 8 Ks in a row for Thomas White. He cannot be stopped. And these batters just don't know what to do with him.
He's getting better with each level that he sees. So he started the season in high A Beloit, dominated. 9 starts, 2.83 ERA, goes up to Pensacola, which, you know, it's a big jump from high A to double A, especially for pitchers. I know the Southern League is a very pitcher-friendly ballpark, but there's nothing flukish about what he's doing. A 2.02 ERA across 8 starts, 35 2/3 innings. Here's the kicker, 58 strikeouts. He strikes out everybody. There was a game a couple weeks ago. I was in awe. He faced the Knoxville Smokies, the double A team for, I believe, the Milwaukee Brewers. 5 innings, 14 strikeouts. That's dominance. That is ace quality material, and the stuff backs it up. We don't have, data on for public availability that you can see the metrics and pitch shapes at the double A level, but you watch it, he's hitting 98, 99, 100 miles an hour, and then the breaking balls, the slider, it's disgusting. He's somebody, like you said, in 2026, I think you see him at the major league level. I think he contributes to the Marlins in a very big way come next season. The sky's the limit for him. We talk about Yuri Perez as being one of the best young pitchers in the major leagues. I think Thomas White can be right up there with Yuri.
I would be so surprised to see him have any kind of a rough adjustment when it comes to getting him into AAA, because like you said, the talent level jump between high A and double A. I mean, I don't know how much you could overstate this. It's huge. And
Steve.
High A is where a lot of guys get stuck and have their careers die. And you've seen a lot of really, really talented pitchers make that jump and fail out completely. And Thomas White has done the exact opposite of that. He gets to double A. I think he had like 1 game, maybe 2 games in the middle where he was doing like not bad, but like not what he's doing right now. And then just took the snap and went off with it. He's nasty. There's really nothing else to say about it. He is grotesque. The way that he can move a baseball is superhuman. And
it's unfair.
I think about him in a rotation with Yuri Perez. I think about him like rolling through with like him, Robbie Snelling, Thomas White. I mean, Sandy, if he stays with us and he keeps on doing what he's doing, fantastic. But like, even if you were to write him out of our future entirely, God forbid, having those 3 names in your rotation should strike fear into the heart of any batter.
It's like the future of this pitching staff is so good. Like, I know we've seen the ups and downs this season. We for goodness sake, we started the year with Connor Gillespie in the opening day rotation.
I forgot about that, to be honest with you.
I know. I think he was DFA'd by the Twins a week or so ago. Like,
yeah,
it was bad, guys.
He's a free agent again, I believe.
But yeah, like Alex is saying, the future, guys, is so bright. And Robbie Snelling, to me, it's not the opposite of Thomas White, because his stuff is still really good, but he's just like a bulldog on the mound, where Thomas White is like, I just have better stuff than 99% of humans on the planet. Robbie Snelling's like, I got a mid-90s fastball with decent carry. I got a really good curve. You just can't hit it, and I'm going to attack you every single time. And that's what he does. If someone hits a homer, okay, you got lucky. I'll strike out the next 7. Like, Snelling's a beast in his own right, and I can't wait for his debut.
No, you know what's funny is, and I said this to somebody one time, and they got mad at me, but Robbie Snelling has Cal Quantrill energy to me. Not in terms of stuff, not in terms of ability, but Cal's a dog, right?
Right.
And we've any video you've seen of Cal Quantrill from the past 5-6 years, you see him step off that mound, and that like Sandy energy you saw tonight, that's Cal after like a standard midseason game on an okay team on the third inning. You know what I mean? That's Robbie Snelling, except a little bit more just like tied up, a little bit more polite. But like he is pitching with that kind of ferocity, and he knows it. He knows nobody's hitting him. He knows that like looking batters in the eye and saying you're getting whiffed by 94 today, and you're gonna like it. And that's just it's so cool to watch. And I'm right there with you. I really wish that they would give him a shot this year, but they have a built-in major league ready pitcher already that's already been tested and proven in. So they're going to use him, and there's no rush on Robbie Snelling. He's not Rule 5 eligible or anything. Why push it? You know, but
yeah,
God, I cannot wait to see him in that rotation.
Dude, it's gonna be so nasty. Like I'm just thinking of we haven't even talked about Ryan Weathers. I mean, that's a subject for another time. He's disgusting. I mean, his stuff jumps off the page.
Yeah.
He's just got to stay healthy.
He's in bullpen sessions right now. He's almost back.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see him in a couple weeks if the rehab starts go well. I don't see why you wouldn't see him like beginning mid-September timeframe. We'll see how it goes. But that Cal Quantrill comp had me laughing because Quantrill just doesn't care. Like he just like his attitude is just like hit it or don't, and I'm just gonna be the same. And Snelling's like, I'm the middle linebacker. I'm gonna dominate this game. It's hilarious.
Dude, yeah, there's so many hilarious Cal Quantrill moments. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna miss Cal Quantrill a little bit, not because he's like a great pitcher, but I just love his energy, and like there's just so many moments that like this is a family-friendly podcast. I can't even repeat half the stuff that he says on that mound, but man,
yeah,
what good energy for a young, hungry team that wants to see their pitchers getting excited about what they're doing.
Really quick before we get out of here, the next prospect to wrap it up, I wanted to mention somebody that's been flying under the radar. Not a lot of fans are talking about him, and that's Dylan Head. And Dylan Head just got a promotion to high A. And if you remember, when Luis Arias was traded to the Padres, it wasn't Jakob Marsee that was the headliner. It was Dylan. And the ceiling for Dylan Head, as crazy as it sounds, could be higher than Jakob Marsee if he puts everything together. The key for me with Dylan Head is his number one tool is his speed. Is he going to create enough contact in the higher levels to survive against elite pitching? Because if he does, and we've seen glimpses of the EVs, he's going to be a doubles and triples machine. He's not just going to be a singles merchant. So if he can create that consistent contact, you got to watch out for Dylan Head flying up through these prospect rankings over the next season or so.
Dylan Head, I think it's so funny that he was like the headline piece in that trade, because we see how Marsee turned out, and he was just some he was just some prospect. Dylan Head has been tearing it up in single A this year, and I'm really excited to see what he's got in Beloit, because it's just like we were saying earlier in regards to the talent jump. It's like single A to high A can be very manageable for a lot of guys. In fact, this is the same reason why you're seeing a lot of the draft prospects from this year starting in high A. It's because this is comparable to what talented players are already used to dealing with. So Dylan was overqualified for single A. Now in high A, this is where we're going to really get to see what he's got. And I think that if he performs the way that he has been performing, you'll see him in double A early next season. And he is a really fast guy. He's gonna kind of do, I think, like an Xavier Edwards, Ellie De La Cruz combo situation in my head. He's gonna be a great base runner. He is going to be a guy who can just round the bases for you on small little blue hits. Maybe not a huge power guy, but he is going to like produce runs. And frankly, I think that he is a prospect that needs to get talked about a lot more, because as much as you were hype on him when the trade happened, it's been a while now, and I think that people have kind of forgotten what the value that was seen in him as a prospect was then, and how well that translates to what the Marlins are doing right now. I mean, we aren't a team that is smoking a ton of home runs in comparison to a lot of other ones, especially with Kyle Stowers off the roster right now. But like,
yeah.
if you have a bunch of guys who are able to play small ball, hit those singles, doubles, triples, and like be really good base runners, I mean, that's how you're gonna win a lot of baseball. And the Marlins are good at that kind of play. Historically, they have been very good at that kind of play. And I think that you're starting to see a bit of a return to form on that with guys like Xavier Edwards, with guys like Javier Sanoja. Dylan Head would fit right into the mold there.
Yeah, and
So,
I think better, to be honest, like
yeah,
in terms
100%.
of the ceiling, because he hits the ball. He has the capability to hit it hard. It's just a matter of consistent EVs. There's been times where he's knocked like 105 EV. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you see those tools and you can't really teach those tools. That's something that Peter Bendick saw. He's like, we want him in our organization. And he was also injured last year. He dealt with the hip issue. It sidelined him most of the season. So this was almost a reset year. And I think 2026 is where you're going to see people be, oh, that's Dylan Head right there. That's the guy who earned the promotion to high A. And like you said, double A could be in the cards very soon as well.
Very soon. And yeah, I agree 100%. It's easy to forget about a player when they're sidelined the way that he was. And a lot of players don't recover from that sort of thing as quickly as he has, especially your speedy guys, because it opens you up to being a lot more injury prone. But he has recovered very gracefully. He's moving up quickly. His stuff his stuff at the plate is great. He has really good control. His discipline has been improving a lot. So I think that he's got a really bright future, and I think he's in a great organization to take advantage of what his natural strengths are.
Alex, it's been a joy having you on the podcast. Tell the audience about your work and what you do over with Forever Marlins.
Yeah, so I do a little bit of everything on there. I'm not as funny as a lot of the other guys on Marlins Twitter, but I do love pouring over stats. I will talk your ear off about barrel percentages for 3 hours if you want me to, but most of the time these days I'm posting a lot of blogs on Fish on First, just like think pieces on players in the big leagues, and daily updates on recaps of minor league games is something that I'm starting to try to get more consistent with, just because I think kind of what you were saying earlier, the minor leagues are such an important thing to pay attention to, and it's very overwhelming. There's 6 games a day sometimes. Nobody's really keeping up with that all that much. And if there's one thing that I don't feel like the minor leagues get enough of, it's like adequate like summations and coverages of these players and what they're doing. So I'm trying to do a little bit more on that end to make it a little bit more accessible for guys to see what these prospects are up to.
It's great stuff. Absolutely great stuff. Once again, thank you. And for the audience, this is going to do it for today's edition of Locked on Marlins. Make sure you follow my guy, Alex, at Forever Marlins. Read the blog posts. He posts on Fish on First quite often. And there's some funny ones. You got the Eric Wagman. I really like that one. But until next time, guys, stay safe, stay locked on, and let's go fish.